Hey there, I'm Alli and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a thrift flip. Now before we hop into the first project, I want to say a big thank you to Cricut for sponsoring this video. I'll have a little bit more about Cricut later on, but let's hop in to the first project, which is this vase. I picked up this vase at one of our local thrift shops and I got it for $3.99. I thought this was just a great shaped vase. I love the stone at the bottom. So I decided let's give this a much more modern, fun update with a more unique way to add texture that's not baking soda and paint. The first thing that had to go are these flowers. As much as I love purple and I thought these flowers were kind of cute, the idea of thrift store silk flowers is just kind of icky to me. So then I also used my scissors to try to get out the foam on the inside, but it really didn't work, so I ended up just leaving it on the inside. Now the key to adding texture to this vase is going to be some spackling. And I just used my fingers and applied on a generous amount all around the vase using this kind of downward motion to create nice straight vertical lines on the vase. And this was looking okay like this, but I wasn't so happy with the texture. But what really made this look awesome was using a popsicle stick, and I used that to kind of reminded me of like frosting a cake, like frosting the spackling to create these really nice lines with texture, and I just loved how that looked. Now once that spackling had completely dried, I lightly sanded it. Now over on my Instagram, I asked you guys if I should paint this a neutral or a color, and it ended up being 50-50, so I met in the middle with this kind of neutrally peach tone, and I really love the color. I'm glad that I went with this. After that first layer dried, I wanted to bring in just a little more dimension, so I went in with the cream color that I used to make the peach and lightly brushed that on to really bring out all of that texture on the vase. But I still didn't think this was done, so I took a little bit of some paper and some painter's tape to block off the bottom here, and then I coated the entire top part of the vase with 2 coats of high gloss spray paint. Next up, I want to tackle this frame, and it's going to be such a simple DIY. I picked this frame up again at the local thrift store for $2.99. I loved the bamboo look around the edges, and it is a terracotta clay frame, but I just don't think the color is working for me. If it would have been more of an orangey terracotta, I would have been on board. So let's give this a little facelift. This DIY is so simple. I started by removing everything out of the frame, and then I just knew that this frame needed to be white. So I used white acrylic paint and gave it 2 really good coats. And I chose acrylic paint instead of spray paint because I just think acrylic paint had the texture that I was going for. Now that the paint is dry, and I think it looks so much better now that it's one solid color, I thought why not try making some art for the inside using the Cricut. So let me show you how this machine works and how I'm going to use it in some of my projects. And here she is, the beautiful Cricut Explore Air 2, and I am so happy to have this machine in my craft arsenal. The Cricut Explore Air 2 can cut 100 different materials. I'm going to be using vinyl and iron-on vinyl in this video, but you can also cut paper and also cardstock, fabric, craft foam, felt, and even stencil vinyl. I'm really excited to try out some stencils for future projects. Now, Cricut comes with a program called the Cricut Design Space, and it is full of a ton of different images that you can drag and drop in. Also fonts, which is how I came up with this little take it easy words that you're seeing right here. But what I love most is the ability to upload your own custom design, because if you know me, then you know that there's nothing I love more than some good graphic design and a custom art project. So I made this monstera or tropical leaf in my editing program and brought it over to the design space, and I resized it to fit what would fit inside my frame. And now my design is ready to be cut out. So moving over to the vinyl, I trimmed my vinyl down to size, placed it on the light grip mat here. This one comes with the Cricut, and I adjusted the settings on the machine, set the mat in place, push this button that brings the mat into position, and then all I had to do was hit the little Cricut button and my design was cutting. And this was just so cool to see it come to life. And I repeated those exact same steps using this pearlescent green vinyl to cut out the Monstera leaf. Once your design is complete, it's time to weed it. So you just peel off first the majority of the design, the bulk kind of part here. Then you can go in with the weeding tool to pull out all of the finer details. And this part is so satisfying that you will see that I went a little bit overboard on projects that need finely weeded. Next, I brought in a piece of transfer tape and I used this spatula type thing here to really make sure that my vinyl made it onto the transfer tape, and I repeated that also with the letters. Then I just took my little piece of cardstock here that I cut to the size of my frame, stuck down the leaf, rubbed that on real good, removed the transfer tape, and then just repeated those steps, layering on my phrase here. And I put everything back into the frame. I am really excited about this third project because it's this kitty jewelry box, definitely a child's jewelry box, and it's seen better days. I picked it up at Goodwill for $2.99, and I'm not gonna do anything too crazy to it. I really wanted a nice jewelry box, but I'm gonna show you how to make it look so much more modern and updated. First thing I did with this box was just remove everything out of the inside because it was just kind of gross and I don't want the pink. So I removed all of that, but I made sure to save the little dividers and the little ring spacers. It's time to say goodbye to the kitty because I am painting this entire jewelry box with this medium gray color. While that was drying, I picked up these knobs from the Dollar Tree and I spray painted them silver. Now back to the box, I decided to line it with black felt. I thought that was a little bit classier, and I found the easiest way to do this was first line the sides of the box and then lay down the base piece, and I repeated that also in the drawer. I then also recovered all of the little ring spacers like so, and I also recovered the one divider here, and I attached everything in, moving the ring holder over to the side instead of in the middle like it was originally. Now when I went to add the new knob back onto the box, the screw kind of sticks out a little bit further than the original one did. So my solution to that was just snip a little bit off this divider here so that I could kind of hide it away in the center when I folded over my new black felt. Of course, this is looking really good, but it is a little simple, so it's time to use the Cricut. I created this little moon phase design because I thought this would look so good using this textured metallic vinyl. So I cut it down to the size that I needed, stuck it onto the mat, and just let the Cricut do its job. Now, every design that I have created will be available on my blog, actuallyalli.com, and I did make a little change to this one because all of those little dashes were just incredibly annoying. So I made it a little bit more simple and streamlined if you want to download this little design. Another great thing about Cricut and the design space is that you can use it on your phone through the cloud. So I wanted to try this out and it was so cool because my computer's kind of old. So I love the idea that I can use my phone to print something out while working on a project. With all my pieces cut out, I used my transfer tape to apply my little moon phases to the top of the box. Then I added a small star to the handle, and then also these little tiny star decals along the front of the drawer. And I just love how cute these are. They're just adorable. And And I didn't want to stop there. I thrifted this sweatshirt, so I thought, why not give it a little iron-on logo? So I brought my logo into the design space, and I added some text, some little sparkles. I flipped everything so it was mirrored, and then cut it out using the Cricut. Here is that satisfying part of weeding the vinyl, and boy, was this one fun to kind of clear out those little intricate details. A little trick is to flip the mat over when removing your design. Now, to get the design onto the sweatshirt, I'm going to be using the Easy Press 2. What I did was look up the Easy Press 2 heat transfer guide, and that gave me all of the instructions I needed to follow, what temperature I needed, how long I needed to set the Easy Press onto the shirt, all of the very specific instructions, and I was able to create this really cute Stay Crafty sweatshirt that I may or may not be wearing while I'm doing this voiceover right now. And for this final thrift flip, been loving that Pedestal Bowl trend. So I picked up these two bowls at Goodwill. One was $1.99 and the other was 99 cents. And I thought they'd look like a really great pedestal bowl. I'm gonna add some texture, it's gonna be a lot of fun. So let's hop into this project. With the plate, I took this tan color and a little bit of white, and I just painted it straight onto the inside of the plate. Now, my original idea was to use a stone effect spray paint, but apparently it was no longer working. So plan B, I flipped the plate over and gave the bottom of it an entire coat of matte black spray paint. Once that spray paint had dried, my idea instead now was to use this jute rope to just kind of fill the inside of the entire plate, or is this a bowl? I really don't know what kind of dish this is. And I think this turned out really cool. It added a really neat texture. I thought this turned out really cool. I didn't take the rope all the way to the edge of this plate because I liked kind of seeing that tan peek through. I thought it made it look a little bit more high end. And to turn this into a pedestal bowl, I took some E6000 and hot glue onto the bottom of the wood bowl and placed it right into the center of the plate. Thanks so much again to Cricut for sponsoring this video. I have always wanted a Cricut, and I'm so glad I have one. It is going to be a total game changer. I mean, look how these projects turned out. I wouldn't have been able to do this without a Cricut, and I just see so many more projects coming in the future where I'm going to be using this guy. I am so excited. If you want to learn more about the machine, the Easy Press, or the types of vinyl and materials that I use, those will be linked in the description box, as well as all of the helpful guides that I referred to throughout these projects. Thanks so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!